Good morning and welcome to Spiritual Messages and Music. Thank you for watching. How do you hear him? How do you hear the voice of Jesus in your life? I've asked a few friends to share little messages of how they hear him. And before you hear from them, this is how I hear him. Well, I like to translate things into my own words, by speaking or by writing down. And when I do that, and I write things in my own words, I have to keep redrafting and keep thinking how I say it in my words. And then there suddenly comes a point where I've said it in my words and it makes perfect sense. And it's like I've hit what resonates with me. And because of how individual it is and how there's this resonance with my spirit to the spirit that comes from God, it's like there's a connection, a perfect understanding. And the reason why I believe this knowledge comes from him is how the timing of it relates to so many things outside of my sphere of influence. The music you just heard, the opening title, has a little phrase in it. Why not speak to understand my atonement Father's plan? And that comes from a scripture from the prophet Jacob, who said, why not speak of the atonement of Christ and attain to a perfect knowledge of him? I've realized that allowing my children to speak rather than speaking at them, I actually see that heaven speaking to them directly rather than it coming through someone else. And having the courage to speak and say what we think about something, I find is a way of hearing him.
So I love to come into nature to hear him. I love long walks and long runs. Sometimes I'll listen to scriptures or conference talk, but sometimes I'll just have the peace of my own mind and pondering and praying whilst I'm walking and running and reflecting in nature. I just find that those two things go together so perfectly, and that there are so many opportunities where God can teach us a lesson when we're in nature, because nature teaches us so much about patience and about faith and about when things look like they are dead or hopeless, and then spring comes and new blooms come. And I just love the lessons that I've been given through nature and through being able to appreciate, I guess, the hand of God in our life and in this world. I also love times when I open up the scriptures, when I'm praying and wrestling over something, and I open up the scriptures at random, and the first thing I read will directly correlate to the thing that I'm pondering on, and it feels as if God is speaking to me directly there and then through the scriptures. And I think that we don't always rely on that way of hearing him as much when we read the scriptures and how they get expounded onto our view and how the mysteries of God are unfolded to us. And I love and treasure some of those times.
17 years, almost to the day actually, in April, I was standing in a missionary flat, living down at the guest house at the London Temple. I was ironing my shirt. I was standing very much like this, ironing my shirt. It was the night before I was going to go home from my mission. And a feeling that I never felt before overcame me. It was a feeling of unworthiness, that I hadn't done enough, everything I could have done, but I didn't do. And it was a dark feeling. And I broke down and I cried in a way that I haven't done in my life before, feeling unworthy in many ways. As I broke down and was in some kind of a despair, I had a wise companion who spoke to me. I could hear him through his words, comforting me. He encouraged me to pray, and as I prayed, I could hear him. As I heard him in my prayers that day, I returned differently. My feelings were different. I could be proud of my mission. I knew that I accomplished things, and I knew that I've served him. What a difference it is in our lives when we turn to him and we hear him.